Hi, my name is Nathan Montez, lead curator for this Jasmine Barrientos post on the Virginia On Air Elections and Governance Hub. We sat down with Jasmine Barrientos, candidate for the 13th Senate District, for a short interview. We're in the office of Jasmine Mohammed Barrientos, candidate for the 13th Senate District. Thank you for sitting in this interview with me today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So let me start by asking you, why did you get involved in politics?
Well, on the beginning of my career, I'm always been in touch with a lot of immigrant people, and we were always helping the immigrant community making their papers, filing citizenships. I also work for the government, in which we had this program, which was integrating the immigrants to the system. And that's how I realized there was a lot of injustice going on. But on 2016, when Trump stepped, I actually was the first one that helped the Muslim community at the Dallas airport ban, and that's how eventually I got recruited to run for office and run at the Senate seat of my county, which was Loudoun County, and now I'm living in Prince William, which is the same district, anyways. But my main reason absolutely was what happened to my son, because he was actually a victim of a hate crime. So I would say that for the people who doesn't know me, I was the advocate of my son, and I was the person who ended up putting someone behind bars, which was an FBI supervisor after he beat my son.
All right, so what has been your most significant accomplishment to date?
I would say that I have so many significant accomplishments. As you can see, my wall is full of stuff like, Latino national speakers, and I work for the Islamophobia. I'm always been involved with the community, but the pivot and what really make the person that I am and actually changed my personality was on December 2014 when I saw my son trembling on the floor for no reason, gun pointed by an FBI supervisor who picked a fight among a children's body, and I didn't know that there was a such thing as hate crime until at that moment. And then when this happened, then that's how I realized that there was a lot of things we need to change in the United States of America, our country, that we the Americans don't go for the hate and the bigotry, yet there is a small group who does, and we need to tackle. So my first job was actually go against corruption. So I'm the first one who put behind bars an FBI supervisor after 2 years of hard work. So I would say my major accomplishment was going against corruption and fighting for social justice.
What is the most important new legislation you want to patron for the 2020 General Assembly?
If we become the senator of District 13, there's a lot of things that are happening in our district. We have Prince William and Loudoun County. There is Loudoun County has, the richest county actually, apparently in the whole United States. However, we don't have things that the richest county will have. For example, we need infrastructure. There is a lack of roads. We don't have international baccalaureate programs in our schools. Our teachers do make a little bit more of money, but not enough. And then we have Prince William County, which is actually the opposite. It needs a lot of help. We need to tackle more into West education. But my first, I will patron the first legislation that will do help Virginia in general will be to create a way to have license for undocumented Virginians. And I think that's a matter of safety. I also think it's a matter that it can bring revenue to Virginia. It can increase the sales of cars here, and it can increase also a lot of taxes here that can help in Virginia. So that will be the first thing I will be the patron of. And then the second thing that I will definitely do, and I'm passionate about it, is education. So I will help teachers. I will help also to implement international baccalaureate education in the schools, and we will try to push that. And the third thing that I am passionate about and I think is necessary is that and I did already in Montgomery County, is to increase the minimum wage. The minimum wage in Virginia is $7.24. It's unbelievable. It's not a living wage, so obviously we need to increase it. So I will be the first person who will start pushing that with the help of the unions. That also it's the unions needs to be start to get protected. The unions are getting extinguished, and we need to make sure that we can help them.
What is the question you are most frequently asked, and how do you reply to this question?
Well, I would say that it's more like a challenge. People ask me why I become independent, why I'm not with the Democrats or the Republicans. And what happened is I am against the division, and getting to a point right now in our country in which I strongly believe that our legislators should go for their community, should go for the people that actually needs to answer to, and it's not a party. So I realized that in these days the parties are becoming stagnant, and until some kind of point their operations are not doing any good to the Americans, and we are getting divided among simple stuff, and this cannot continue. The day-by-day people, the middle-class people, the vulnerable people that go to work every day, they need attention, and they don't need political parties fighting among issues. They need solutions. So that's why I decided that I was going to run independent. It's kind of hard, and that's the question that most of the people ask me. They said, some of them praise it, and some of them they said, oh my God, this is going to be hard for you. I understand it's hard, but at the same time I create a social movement that is called the Brave, the Bold, the New Americano, which is really that. It's brave, it's bold, and it represents the New Americano, which is tired of the dysfunction of the parties. So I strongly believe also that legislation needs to be passed for the people. And if you look at the Virginia Constitution, actually when it started, the legislators were independent, and then eventually they start affiliating to parties. And I think that's a disease at this point, and I'm not agree with that. And many people is an independent thinker, so there comes another independent thinker for an independent voter. I hope I can count with their votes on November, because we're gonna need that strong support.
What would you recommend to students about wanting to get more engaged with the democratic process?
Well, I see so much change when the youth gets involved. For example, in Puerto Rico, they were able to overthrow the governor when all these people went out. It was around, I think, 1 million people on the streets, and mostly were young. And we can consider that Puerto Rico is only 3 million people. So they make the change. And then the same thing with the Amazon. I just come back from the Amazon. We were helping the rainforest crisis with our environmentalist group. And the young people is the one that I was involved, was making difference. And you can see when Greta came here as well, I start pulling all these young people. The young people is getting more educated. The young people is able now to put the heart on the issues and not on the parties. So I would recommend the young people to register to vote when they can, and if they cannot, they start volunteering, getting civic duties like participating and understanding and reading about who is the candidate, what is the candidate for, and if he's going for their interest or not. There's situations right now in which we've seen this gun shooting in the schools. So that's something that affects directly to the young people. And the young people now, it's been affected for things that in another years or maybe another decades was not the situation. So at this point, because of mental issues, because of bullying, because of situations that the militarization of the police, for example, all those things now are affecting young people, and therefore young people needs to put their input, not just volunteering but also voting when they can. And then for the millennials, moreover, millennials needs to know that there is a certain group of politicians that are, for example, for the eliminating the student loan, and also creating education, public education free, which for me it's not as part of being a socialist, but actually it's part of being progressive, as any in other countries around the world, in Europe and even third world countries. We were in Santa Cruz, Bolivia, and they have a public education for the people who can afford. So I strongly believe that they need to start looking off the people that are going towards these policies, or they have these policies in place, whether it's a mayor, whether it's a councilman, whether it's a legislator, or even a school counselor. We should try to follow this kind of ideology so we can make America a place that we want to be proud of.
And do you have anything else to add for our viewers and voters for this upcoming election before we conclude the interview?
Well, I would like to say that, first of all, it's not been easy, and I wanna thank everyone who helped me to go this path. We touched so many people, we touched so many lives. It's not been easy because as a woman, I have to face a lot of things that actually we still have to face in our country. And as being a naturalized, not born here, I've been had so many times that I have to explain that I am an American as well. And as an immigrant, so many times I have to explain that actually I am a Native American, which actually my 400 years ago, the Native Americans from wherever was north, south, or central, which is the Latin Americans, were actually part of America, so I do belong here. It's not been easy, but I can tell you that it's been a journey, and you were in that journey, and I am so happy that you were with us in this journey. And this is not the end, this is the beginning of a new change, of a hope. And I hope I can count on your vote on November 5th. And you have to write my name because, as I said, we went through a lot of things. We went through some sort of claims and games that eventually we just leave it on the side because we realize politics is actually dirty. And you have to write my name as a way of protest, as a way to fight injustice. So my name is Jasmine Barrientos, and I'm your first Latina candidate for Senate, not the last one. And I hope I can count on your vote on this November.
All right, well, that concludes all my questions. And thank you again for sitting in on this interview. And this concludes the interview with Jasmine Barrientos, the candidate for 13th Senate District.
Thank you.